Melissa Murphy, Event Strategist at Arinex, and this is Professor Simon Ringer from University of Sydney, who was also the co-chair of the International Microscopy Congress held here in Sydney in 2018. Now, it's hard to believe that we started planning 10 years ago, Simon, and it's great to have you here today to have a conversation with Arinex about IMC, its legacy, its successes and its challenges. So, Simon, tell me a little bit about microscopy. What is it and why is it important, and maybe some of the history reflecting back on how you actually brought the event to Sydney.
Nice. So, microscopy is such an important part of the way that we understand the world around us. So it's very much a contemporary area, you know, the clean water, the clean food, clean energy, human health, animal health, clean air, all of those kind of questions, the technologies and the science breakthroughs that we get, that we seek to achieve, you know, so many insights come through the microscope. In 1954 was the first International Microscopy Congress. So they organised this so that it was a meeting every 4 years, and this is really kind of regarded as the Olympics of this field, if you will. The meeting had come to Australia in the early 1970s, and so come into the early 2000s, the Australian community were very keen to bring the meeting back to Australia.
So Simon, what advice do you have for anyone out there who would be looking to potentially host a meeting here in Australia or bid to host a meeting here in Australia? Because I know, thinking back to when you have bid for this meeting previously, you got knocked back, you went back again. I think throughout the whole journey, it was very evident that as a committee you were extremely passionate, and I think that's probably an element of success when you are bringing a meeting to Australia and you have a big organising committee, you have a big meeting to organise, and you never lost that momentum. So what else do you think makes it successful, or what advice do you have?
Sure, absolutely. Well, look, I think those things you touch on there, Mel, are absolutely key. This is a pretty competitive space to win this meeting, and so you do need passion and commitment. So a lot of passion and I guess tenacity at the end of the day, because it's a long haul to go, get knocked back, and then go again. And so I think tenacity is a key thing that we want to have in there. I think clear goals are important. So just being really clear about what we're setting out to achieve, that's important. Of course, once we are successful and we're in the preparation for the meeting, got to start early. So leveraging every month that you can ahead of your bid is important, and especially, you know, if you're going to reconcile what your ambitions are for the meeting with satellite meetings and various other organisations that you're going to have to engage with, you're going to need a lot of time to get that right. So starting early. Of course, the other thing I'd say is, you know, keep smiling, have some fun with it, because it's definitely a wonderful experience, and it can be a lot of joy, a lot of fun. As quickly as possible, you want to get alignment around expectation, around communication protocol, and just being, you know, like low friction, very easy converged alignment on what you're trying to do there. And I think that we were really successful in that aspect. And I remember thinking that, you know, that was a real feature that we'd managed to achieve, to get the trust of the International Federation. Of course, it is their conference at the end of the day. We had terrific trust and great workings with the Australian Microscopy and Microanalysis Society, and we had great vibes in our different local committees, and of course in our work with the ICC team, with Arinex, and with Business Events Sydney.
And I think, you know, reflecting back, we really were one team. We were very open and transparent with our communication, if there were any challenges, and we really wanted to see us achieve the one goal, and that was the meeting to be incredibly successful.
My word.
And we had fun along the way.
We did. We absolutely had some fun. So it's funny then to reflect on some of the challenges, isn't it?
It is, and I know there were quite a number of them that could be turned around, but maybe you want to highlight some of those challenges in detail.
Sure, yeah. Well, look, there were some challenges, and I think you're right. I think we managed to turn some of those around. So certainly I think initially we were mildly daunted by that hierarchy piece. Pretty formal kind of organisation there with the International Federation and their protocols and comms, and of course it's an international society, and so there are at any given moment various dynamics at play there, and of course with the Australian Society and then our committee. So I think that was one that we quickly turned from a challenge into almost a superpower for us to get the meeting going. That was great. Another challenge was the concern around the technical capability for the site, because this is a highly technical conference. We've got vendors, companies that are coming in that want to site instruments that run microscopes using electrons, using laser beams, using ion beams, using visible light, lasers, and so on. And so, microscopy is a kind of a field where all of those and even more different types of radiation are used to give insights into how the world works. So we needed very, very stable floors. We had parameters there around wanting a relatively quiet electromagnetic noise backgrounds and so on. And all of these companies were kind of nervous about whether we would be able to pull off a site that would deliver the technical capability where they could actually stand up their bleeding edge technologies and have microscopes running with images of showing the atomic structure of materials, for example, in real time in a meeting with a few thousand people getting around on the exhibition floor. So that was a great success, and kudos to the ICC team for their technical capability that they were able to bring us.
Yeah, they were fantastic as well, even with making sure that the internet could handle the amount of data being pushed through their systems. Because the amount of, is it terabytes in the presentations that were coming through was absolutely huge. And we also ran out of room to actually have a speakers prep area, so we custom built that, and ICC were integral in making sure that we could actually facilitate that on site. So lots of different nuances and challenges, but I think we all worked really well to collaborate on some of those and come up with some pretty creative solutions.
Yeah. I think the other challenge that we did so well on was being able to be both ambitious about what we wanted to do in terms of the financials of where we wanted to land, be very clear about that, but to be ambitious about the program, about the satellite meetings that we were having, the Stories and Structures Indigenous Art Exhibition, the high schools program that we had, and the workshops for delegates to learn about some of the newer techniques in the days preceding the start of the meeting, the Young Scientists Forum. So there's a lot going on there, right? And being able to coordinate all of that successfully was a real achievement.
So we've talked about all of the successes, the challenges, the highlights. Is there anything, Simon, that you would do differently if you had the chance again to organise this meeting?
Yes, Mel, that is an interesting question, isn't it? Because we reflect on that terrific program. We were so proud of the diversity that we were able to bring into the program. The quality of the program, fantastic. Bottom line was pretty good. We ended up where we wanted to end up on the ledger. And so even though we were documenting so much of how we were doing what we were doing through the various many years of our prep, and we had a very impressive final report for the meeting, it does occur to me that we could have perhaps even done a little bit more of logging some of our process. And I say this because the meeting is still high in the minds of many of the leaders in that community, and I am asked regularly and often about certain processes and thinking that was behind how we pulled off what we'd done, and I kind of find myself scratching around looking for documentation and the like. So I think that I think we actually did. We have a fantastic photo record and final reports and various other reports that are there. But perhaps if I were to do it all again, there might be a bit more we can do there.
So even creating a manual of the processes behind IMC19 as a bit of a legacy piece.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, exactly. TM. Yeah.
And that's a good segue into talking about legacy. So Simon, can you tell us about IMC19 and its impacts and the legacy that this meeting has left for Australia, but also the Congress itself?
Sure. Well, look, there certainly were some really positive legacies to the meeting. Firstly, the fact that we're able to land financially where we had sought to land puts money in the bank for the Australian Microscopy and Microanalysis Society, so then the society are able to do all the things that they like to do, including create bursaries for young up-and-coming researchers, PhD students especially, to send them off to meetings elsewhere in the world and around Australia, and that's a really important capability. It adds to the science capability of the country, ultimately, the research capability of the country. So that was great. Of course, the meeting, I've talked a bit about the program. It was a really exciting program, and the invigoration that gives to researchers in Australia, the inspiration that it gives. Many colleagues have talked about how they were able to publish papers and win grants and have successful research projects following on from initiatives that were begun at the meeting is great. I think also perhaps just the competence of the Australian community, the regard that the Australian community are held in off of the back of holding such a successful meeting. It's true to this day. I regularly am approached by somebody that I'm not sure I quite recognise, and they say, "Oh yes, hi, I was at IMC19 in Sydney in 2018. That was the best conference I've ever been to." And gee whiz, when you hear that really is a wonderful thing to hear. And I think we're all really proud every time somebody remembers fondly their experience in Sydney in 2018.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Simon. It was certainly a career highlight for me, and it's been so lovely to sit here and reflect on the experience that we're able to share, and the fact that we're still friends 10 years later and hopefully colleagues again in the near future is fantastic, and a testament to what can happen when you do have a successful relationship with your committee. Well, thank you, Simon. It was an absolute pleasure to have you with us today, and we hope that you enjoyed today's conversation with Arinex.
I did, thank you.